What's for dinner? Hey everyone, I'm Chef Z and welcome back to my channel, Chef Z Cooks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make Dominican style ribs the way that my grandmother used to make them, which means that these ribs are going to be deliciously fried, but not deep fried the way that she used to, simply because I have a workaround and a cooking technique that I've shared before here on my channel and I'm going to share again today. Now, like always, stay tuned until the very end of the video where I'll be sharing my tips and tricks to help you get these ribs right each and every single time. Let's go ahead and get started. Making Dominican style ribs is actually really easy, and I love that you can take a few ingredients and make an absolutely delicious dish. We're going to start off by mashing our garlic in a pilon, which is a moro en pesto, and we're going to add some kosher salt just to help the garlic release its juices, and we're going to mash it up until it creates a paste just like you see here. Now you guys know I love using fresh garlic because the flavor is unmatched, so fresh and so vibrant. We're now going to go ahead and we're going to start seasoning our ribs by adding some onion powder, some Dominican style oregano, which is going to give this dish a classic Dominican flavor, but regular oregano will also work. We're also going to go ahead and we're going to add the mashed garlic, and I'm also going to add some fresh thyme, which I actually grew myself in my garden this year, and the flavor is so beautiful. But just know that the fresh thyme is actually optional in this dish. However, if you can find it at your local grocery store, I highly recommend adding it. We're now going to add some kosher salt, and I'm adding about 1.5 teaspoons, and for me, each one of my pinches is about half a teaspoon, so that's how I like to gauge more or less how much salt I'm adding into this dish. But just note that you can definitely salt it to taste, and I just recommend adding a little bit because it's easier to add than it is to take away. I'm adding some fresh pepper, and of course, you guys know I love cooking with fresh limes, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to add 1 fresh lime, and lucky for me, the lime on this day was super juicy, which I absolutely love. So after we've added the limes to this dish, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start mixing it until it's well combined. And just know that it may take a little bit because mixing that marinade onto the ribs can be a little bit of work. So feel free to use your hands if you do so. Just make sure to wear some gloves simply because that garlic, oregano, lime mixture can be pretty strong on your hands and can be hard to wash away. So after we've mixed the ribs, you want to let it marinate for at least 20 minutes to 2 hours. We're going to set our flame to medium high, and we're going to add some vegetable or canola oil, whichever one you have on hand, and we're going to add enough oil until it covers the bottom of the pot. Now remember, we will not be deep frying these ribs. In fact, we're going to shallow fry them, and we're going to add the ribs to the pot once the oil gets nice and hot because we want the ribs to start browning. And after a few minutes, we're going to go ahead and we're going to flip them over. And the beauty of this dish is that the ribs will release their own juice and their own oil, so it'll help cook itself. But remember, we want some fall off the bone delicious ribs, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to add some water, and we're going to add enough water until it covers the ribs completely. And you want to make sure that the ribs are fully submerged in the water. So the water is going to go ahead and boil, and it's going to boil from anywhere to 20 to 30 minutes, and this is where the ribs are going to cook completely and get that fall off that bone texture that we all know and love when we have ribs. And after those 20 and 30 minutes, it's now going to begin shallow frying, so you want to flip them over every so often just so that they brown evenly on all sides, and you can go ahead and fry them for as long as you like. So right here, the ribs are actually done, but I like my ribs to be super crispy, so I let them fry for another few minutes. And once they reach the crispy level that I like, I'm gonna go ahead and take them out. Now, as you can see, frying ribs in this method is super easy. It doesn't make a huge mess as it would as if we would have deep fried them. And this is also a similar method that I use when I make my masita de puerco, so make sure to check that video out if you haven't already. So there you guys have it, my recipe for some Dominican style ribs. Make sure to have these ribs with some freshly squeezed lime because it really takes it to the next level. If you have any questions, comment below. And until next week, I'm Chef Z y buen provecho. Alright guys, here are some quick tips to help you get these Dominican ribs perfect each and every single time. For my first tip, you can use whatever kind of ribs that you can find at your local grocery store. So you can use the spare ribs that I used, or you can buy a rack of ribs, cut them up yourself and use that. And you can also adapt this recipe for some beef ribs as well. For my second tip, be sure not to burn the garlic in the very beginning when we are browning the ribs. Now, fresh garlic burns very quickly, and when it does, it gets super bitter. So we want to be careful in the beginning not to burn that garlic, because when we add the water to the ribs so that they boil and cook throughout, that bitter flavor can actually permeate throughout the dish. So you just want to be mindful in the very beginning. For my third and final tip, you can cook these ribs a variety of different ways. So if you don't want to fry them like I did in today's video, just know that you can actually bake them. And that's super easy. You just want to take your ribs, place them in a baking dish, cover them with some aluminum foil, and then we're going to bake them at 400 degrees for about 30 minutes. And then after those 30 minutes, we're going to remove the aluminum foil cover and place them back into the oven at 400 degrees so that they develop more color. And this is very similar to how I actually roast my pernil. You can also grill these ribs, and grilling them is super fun. You're gonna do everything on the stove as we did in today's video. So we're going to boil them. However, you don't want the water to dry up completely so that it then fries. So right before that water dries up, you're gonna remove the ribs from the pot, and then we're going to actually grill them so that they develop color as well. So there you guys have it, my quick tips on helping you make these Dominican ribs perfect each and every single time. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions, comment below. Don't forget to join the Chef Z family. And if you need some inspiration on what to cook next, go ahead and click right here.